So as a private equity firm, you have multiple options on how to sell your portfolio company. One, you could sell to the public markets through an IPO. It is costly, but hey, you can still do it. Two, you could sell to a strategic buyer. Now, if you're going to do this, you have to be careful because through the process of the sale, the strategic buyer is going to find out about your trade secrets. And then if they walk away from the deal, they may have a competitive advantage over you. So my recommendation is if you're going to sell to a strategic buyer, before you give your trade secrets, make them put a good size deposit down. Third, we're going to talk about selling to management. So you can do a management buyout. Remember that example we gave in a few videos back on when Michael Dell did a management buyout of Dell Computers? Well, as a private equity firm, you can sell to management. Fourth, you can sell to another private equity firm. So if you're getting close to the end of your fund, you're in year 9, year 10, and you want to exit, there may be another private equity firm that's closer to the beginning of the fund. The portfolio company might still be amazing, you just have to divest. And finally, there's a dividend recap, where you could take on debt and pay out a dividend. So let's look at an example of a business that goes from inception until exit. And for this, we're going to look at Alice. Alice is a third-year student at the University of Waterloo that has an eye for fashion. Looking at what her fellow students were wearing, Alice realized something. Students were either wearing attractive clothes that were not comfortable, or comfortable clothes that were not attractive. Alice designed clothes that were both attractive and comfortable. Alice and her friends started wearing the clothes that Alice designed, and all the other students on campus noticed, and they asked Alice to design clothes for them as well. So now that students across the University of Waterloo are wearing these attractive, comfortable clothing, other students across the country started to take notice. And these students from universities across the country were contacting Alice for these attractive, comfortable clothes. Alice had such demand that she had to open a large manufacturing facility. So now students across Canada are wearing Alice's clothes. And when these students from Canada go down to the US students look at these Canadian students and say, wow, they look so good and so comfortable. We need to get a hold of some of these clothes. So US students start ordering clothes from Alice. Word spreads across the US, and before long, Alice has a company with sales across North America. Along comes a private equity firm, and this private equity firm loves Alice's company. Why, you ask? Well, because Alice's company has no debt, has penetrated the North American market successfully, and this private equity firm has a lot of contacts in the clothing industry in Europe, where they want Alice to expand. So the private equity company buys a majority stake in Alice's company, and they expand to Europe. Years later, the private equity firm and Alice have now developed a huge clothing company that has penetrated both North America and Europe. So the private equity firm has a few options on how to exit its investment in Alice's company. It could bring the company public through an IPO. It could sell the company to a strategic buyer, such as a big clothing company. It could sell the company to Alice through a management buyout. Now, it depends how much debt they have on the books, but it can happen. They can sell to another private equity firm, maybe a private equity firm that has experience in markets that the company's not in, such as Asia or Australia. Or they could do a dividend recap. Well, again, depending on how much debt they have on the books, they can take out some more debt and they can actually pay a special dividend to get out. Those are just a few options that the private equity firm has to exit.